Hi friends, today we're going to be learning about compare unit fractions by using fraction strips. So for this lesson we're going to have some vocabulary. So unit fraction is a fraction where the numerator is 1. So for example, we have 1/3, 1/4, and 1/10, and the numerator will be the 1. The denominator, the bottom number in a fraction that shows how many equal parts that the whole is divided into. Whole, the entire shape or amount is represented as 1. Fraction strip, a model used to represent a whole number in its parts. Compare, determining if a fraction is greater than, less than, equal to, or equal to. We have a greater than, less than, or equal to sign. And equal parts, number of parts of a whole that are sized the same. As we have our numerator, and then we have our denominator. Hi friends, so for our first question, is 1/2 greater than or less than 1/4? So we can see that for a whole, we have 2 equal parts sized 1/2 to equal 1. Then we have 4 equal parts sized 1/4 to give us the whole of 1. So if we break this down to analyze the 1/2 and the 1/4 a little bit further to see which one is bigger, we can see that there is one 1/2 block. Then we have 2 1/4 blocks to equal the 1/2 block. So we can see that 1/2 is bigger than 1/4. For our second question, Lily needs 1/3 cup of oil and needs 1/4 cup of water to make muffins. What will she use more of? So for a whole, for 3/3, it is broken down into 3 equal parts sized 1/3 to give us the whole, while 4/4 is 4 equal parts broken down into 4 equal parts sized 1/4. So we can clearly see that 1/3 is bigger than 1/4. Hi friends, so for our last question, what is the biggest? 1/2, 1/3, or 1/4? So for a whole, for 1/2, there are 2 equal parts sized 1/2. Then for 1/3, for the whole, we have 3 equal parts sized 1/3. Then for 4/4, we have 4 equal parts sized 1/4. So another way we can see if they are the same is we can make them all have common denominators. So our common denominator in between 1, 3, and 4 is 12. So we can take 1/2 times 6 equals 6/12. Then we can have 1/3 times it by 4, and 4/12. And then for our last one, 4/4 times 3. So out of these numbers, we can clearly see that 3/12 is the smallest out of all of the numerators. And with having the common denominators is a lot easier to compare fractions. So 1/4 out of all of them, as we can see, out of 3/12, 4/12, and 6/12, the 3/12 is the smallest. So for our biggest one is going to be 1/2. Thank you friends, I hope you learned a lot about using fraction strips. I hope you have a great rest of your day.